show you how these types of businesses are sold. This information is in the listing agreement. I'm seeing that our commission is 12% or $12,000 minimum commission. The entire world of agents knows that we have this for sale. It's been on the market since, let's call it November, December, and 6 months of this year. So it's been on the market for 8 months. It's longer than it should be. And it's not because of your agent. It's not because of your agent's assistant. Everyone on my team is doing a great job trying to get this sold. This is how we make a living. And as I mentioned in the previous video, we win awards every year for selling businesses and business assets. If we follow what works for previous buyers and previous sellers, we should have similar expectations of their success. All businesses do not sell, and generally it's because of the pricing. If you have a competent agent, which you do, I know how to sell this. Commission and minimums are not our issue here. The only thing that's really here is price. Price and down payment. We're asking for all cash at this dollar amount. That shouldn't probably be a problem. It's a smaller dollar amount. The non-compete I'm not seeing as an issue. The hours I'm not seeing as an issue. It's an asset sale. But here's the problem. How much does somebody want to pay for those particular pieces of used equipment that we're saying equal $20,910? We're asking $37,000 for $20,000 worth of items. What if they don't want all of those items, or they already have some of those items, or they like a different manufacturer, or it's older or newer, or they have parts for a different make or model? Getting $37,000 is it's a challenge for $20,000 worth of used equipment. That's the number one thing that jumps out at me. We're on the market for 8 months. If everything lined up, when somebody pulls up a listing under this type of industry at that price point in that county, that's what it pulls up. So after 8 months, we should have had some nibbles, some bites, some offers, a contract, something. I suggest that we correct this. And I'm not going to say just change it, but correct it, because it's been wrong for 8 months. I'm going to show you how this looks to buyers. There's a database, which I just went over, and I'm going to show you what the buyers see and what the buyer's agents see. And I'm going to pull up all ice cream. There's a whole category here. And I'm going to sort it. And then you can tell me what you see as the problem here. Here's ice cream, flavored ice, smoothie. I'm not going to limit it. I'm going to say the whole group. It'll be the same for restaurants too. Restaurants not making money, it sells for a certain dollar amount. I'm not going to put any sales, no minimums, no dates, nothing. All 21 years, all of these categories from 24,000, and the financials aren't going to make a difference. We have 450 that have sold. Which ones do you think I should be comparing to? The ones that made $200,000 for the owner, or 50? No. So what we do, very simply, is we say discretionary earnings. That's SDE, meaning seller's discretionary earnings, or adjusted net. The association just went from one term to seller's discretionary earnings. It's pretty much the same thing. It would be the profit and any of the benefits of being the owner, like cash, or the business pays for your car, or vacation, or perks. But in our case, we have to sort it, and we go to compare ourselves to the people who have no profits. So it's this first group. Can't compare you to these guys. As soon as there's profit, then it becomes a multiple of earnings. That's how businesses are valued. So when we go negative here, okay, let's say we're not negative. How are we going to value this business? Well, this one sold. It had $65,000 worth of, it should be used value, not new value. So when we're talking $20,000, that should be what somebody can buy it for on eBay or OfferUp or flea market or any open, fair market value type of situation, Craigslist, $20,000. So if you had $20,000 here, $31,000, it sold for $31,000. What we're saying here is when there's zero profit, there is not a multiple. It sells 1 times the assets if it's going to sell. $30,000 sells for $30,000. They might have been saying new value. The agent might have had this listed at new value and the leasehold improvement, but ultimately it sold for $65,000. $2,000 worth of assets sold for $12,000. $115,000 in assets sold for $115,000. $70,000 sold for $70,000. $130,000 sold for $75,000. $30,000 sold for $30,000. $55,000 sold for $55,000. $40,000 sold for $40,000. $98,000 sold for $98,000. $23,000 sold for $23,000. $110,000. Wow, you got an extra $20,000. $40,000 sold for $40,000. $136,000 sold for $136,000. $75,000 in assets sold for $75,000. because really you're not selling a business at that point, you're just selling used equipment. So how is it that we're going to get $37,000 for $20,000 worth of items? If everyone here, their asset value, assuming that they're using the correct number, they should be using the fair market value of the current condition, meaning the used value on eBay. I call it the eBay value. So here, 98, 98, 23, 23, 40, 40, 50, 50, 20, 20, 50, 50, 12, 12. You get the idea. What should we be expecting? Well, okay, if assets is what it sells for, and this is our assets, why are we asking 37? I know there's a commission in here, but there's a commission in here also. This is what it costs to get this to happen. That's pretty much where we're at. I mean, if we can look at this number again and look at the equipment list, let's make sure our number is accurate. Come in with a price more similar to this, and if they offer you the value of this, you'll know it's for real. Here, 29,000 sold for 29,000, 45 sold for 45, 52 sold for 52. This guy really took a loss if he did the numbers correctly. At 222 sold for 29, 65 sold for 45, 20 sold for 20, 58 sold for 70, slightly more. I don't know what else would have bumped that up. 45 sold for 45, 20 for 20, 55, 18. It's so blatantly obvious that when you're not making a profit, when there's no profit in this category. And we're not saying losing money. We're just comparing you to the others. 15 sold for 15, 3, 3, 203. This guy really had to get out at 12. 72 sold for 72, 64, 64, 75, 75, 11, 11. It's very clear to me that in this category, and here's the category: ice cream and yogurts. It's all related, and it's going to be the same thing if I do the same thing in restaurants. It's the same thing. If a business is not making money, it's not a business anymore. It is just the assets, and they're not going to sell for more. Generally, we could try, which is what it looks like we wanted to try here, but they don't sell for more than the fair market used value, current condition. If I do the same thing with restaurants, and I say submit selection, all Florida, all 21 years, no sales or earnings, no source of data, criteria, nothing. I say all restaurants. Well, we've sold more restaurants than any other category. Restaurants are more than any other category. Businesses the association has sold in 21 years are restaurants. So we sell a lot of restaurants. I'm going to sort restaurants, for example, 78 in assets, sold for 48. 40 in assets, sold for 40. 40, 40, 15, 15. 14, 5 sold for 15. 65 sold for 82. 90 sold for 55. 40 sold for 40. 25 sold for 30. You get it? 41 sold for 41. 45 sold for 45. 30 sold for 30. 45, 50. So does that kind of prove the point? Right? We don't want to get into the profitable ones because these guys are not the scenario over here, and you're not a restaurant. But I'm just saying, in every industry, it's going to be the same. When a business is not making a profit, it sells for what this dollar amount is. So let's confirm this number. Let's make a list. Let's make sure we're on track to really have that right number. And 8 months later, we would like to get this sold. It shouldn't take us this long to sell it. This is probably the objection over here. Number one, people want to buy an operating business, right? They want to know what the sales are, what the profits are. But if they're not going to have that, and if we find a buyer in this county, in this area, with that lease, that wants this particular equipment, we got to sell it at the right price. We're asking almost double than what the assets are worth. That needs to be corrected, and boom, we should be able to get somebody that's interested to make you an offer. That's how it works, guys. We'll talk to you later. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.